Hello YouTubes, I'm here to interrupt our normal programming of super infrequent Frisbee highlights to answer some questions that literally nobody's ever asked me. And that is, when I go on a video shoot, how do I keep the client's data safe? How do I make sure that no footage is lost and everything that I'm paid to shoot is maintained? So let's get right into it. So let's imagine I'm at the hotel after a tournament day of shooting or whatever other event it might be, but usually it's Frisbee. So first thing is the memory cards. The memory cards that the cameras I shoot on most frequently these days are CFast 2.0 cards, which is these guys. And I believe that technically all they really are is an mSATA format SSD in a little plastic enclosure. They both run on 3.3 volt power and they have the same arrangement of pins. So I'm pretty sure that's what they are. What that means is they're fast and they're reliable. So they're definitely a step up from your normal SD cards. First priority for me at the end of a shooting day is to get all the video backed up safely. I do this before shower, before dinner. I'm always trying to be in the first car back to the hotel to get this done so everything's safe. So here's how I do that. So I always travel with at least 2 card readers to make sure, but I can also back up straight off the camera through USB or Ethernet if I really have to. I think even Wi-Fi works. But this is a great card reader. It's been discontinued for some reason, but it's got 2 CFast slots and 2 SD card slots, and it runs at USB 3.2 speeds, so it'll max out the cards. And then whenever I travel, I come with these 2 drives. These are both 2 terabyte solid state drives in an enclosure that I just assembled myself. One is a Western Digital Blue version, and the other is a Intel 660p SSD. The reason I went with 2 different models is because that avoids any chance of some kind of systemic manufacturing error that might lead to a failure at a similar time across 2 drives. And these guys are also USB 3. I think they're 3.1, maybe not 3.2, but still plenty fast. I have my card reader, I got my cards, and what I do is I just plug all these in to my laptop, and from here, the easy answer would be to just go to Windows File Explorer or Finder if you're a Mac person, and just copy and paste everything to the drives as needed. Name your folders, whatever your event is. But that's not really a safe way to do it. That type of transfer is subject to errors. There could be a number of type of errors, whether it's a simple disconnect of your cable in the middle of it, or sudden power loss, or any number of things can happen that can flip a bit and corrupt a file along the way. So what I always use in my software of choice is the DaVinci Resolve clone tool. This lets you set up a series of jobs to copy everything from your cards to your external media with what's called a checksum verification. And I'm not a math or data expert at all, so I'm not sure exactly what that does at a granular level, but it does guarantee that it gives you a mathematical guarantee that every file copy you make is a bit for bit perfect copy, and it gives you a verification when it's done. So the crucial thing is to make sure that when you have your 2 external copies set up, that you make each set of copies off of the cards. You never want to copy from the cards to a drive and then from a drive to another drive when you're on site, because then all you're going to do if you have an error is copy that error. And then my last little verification for myself is I have my notebook that I always keep with me shooting, and whenever possible, I always track the file name and notable events in every video file that I shoot, and I can just flip through what comes up in my backup and make sure that all the files I expect to be there are, and all the footage is where it's supposed to be. So that's what I do first thing at the end of a shooting day every time. And the nice thing is I can set up the clone jobs in Resolve and just let them run. It usually takes about 30 minutes per job, so an hour total to get the double back up. And at that point, I can leave and shower, dinner, whatever I got to do. Also, you don't have to use Resolve. There's software for DITs that's designed for doing just this job, like Hedge or I think Parachute and Edit Ready. There's a number of options, Mac and PC, but I just use Resolve because that's my editing software of choice. So that's the first step, just getting everything onto 2 separate drives, so it's safe while I'm on the job. The next step is when I get home. So once I get home, I'll take one of these drives and use my desktop computer to copy it onto my network attached storage. So this is a little system that I assembled originally 4 years ago. It's running on FreeNAS, which is, like it sounds, free software for building a NAS. And there's not a lot to it once you get it going. This system has 9 hard drives in it. It has 3 pools of 3 drives with single drive parity in each one, meaning any individual hard drive out of the 3 separate pools can fail without any data loss. Now this system has been pretty stable for me. I've only lost 1 drive ever in it. It was a 2 terabyte drive from my original build. And I was able to swap it out, rebuild the array, and everything was fine. And then another time, I thought I lost a drive, spent about 90 minutes troubleshooting, and it ended up that I had a PCIe to SATA extension card that had failed. This motherboard only supports 6 SATA drives, and I've got 9, so I had a PCIe card to break out to some more drives, and it was like a $20 fix, not a big deal. Here's Pizza. He just got a haircut, and I'm not very good at it, so he looks like a baby dinosaur or something. Papaya's a little more shy. She's hiding back there, but they're good friends. So this is a view of my desktop where I do most of my work. This is the web interface for controlling my FreeNAS box. This system has been really stable for me now. You can see that at this point, it's had 170 days of uptime, which means that the last time the system had to restart, Breonna Taylor was still alive, and none of those cops have been arrested yet, so that's pretty fucked up. This system has, like I said, 3 storage pools, and once you account for drive parity and overhead loss and whatever else is involved, it's got about 42 terabytes of useful, reliable storage. So what's nice about this is I can keep everything alive, ready to use. Since I can store everything as it was originally copied, I can go into Resolve and I've got all these projects that I've worked on. This database is also backed up on the NAS and locally on the computer. And I could, if anybody needs me to, pull a clip from a project or redo something, I can pull it out of here, without any delays. I don't need to hunt down a hard drive. I don't need to, say, sorry, I don't have the original clips. I'll have to pull it out of the finished highlight reel or whatever it may be. I've got the live project ready to go, which has been a big benefit for my own purposes. Desktop has a ton of different drives attached to it, and one of the most important ones is this drive we call Active. It's another 2 terabyte Intel 660p SSD, and that's where I typically store current projects I'm working on, and that just gets me a little bit quicker responses when I'm editing, and also makes it so it reduces the read and write wear on my RAID array. I've been really happy with my RAID array overall, but any sensible data professional will tell you that RAID is not a backup, which is true. It's possible for that system to fail in a way that kills all the data, even though it can tolerate single drive failures within each of the 3 storage pools. So I do have what I think most video photo shooters have at some point in their life, which is the pile of external hard drives. This is about half of them, I think. But these have everything backed up and ready to deploy in the case of an emergency, but it'd be pretty inconvenient. Everything's logged on a spreadsheet, a Google Sheet for what's on what drive, in case I ever had to rebuild from the externals. But hopefully that doesn't happen. It hasn't happened to me yet, but if it does, I am ready for that. So another question nobody's talking about is what about the card itself when you shoot? If the camera has only one card slot, there's no redundancy there, and that's true. I'd be a happier person if these cameras had dual card slots, but they don't. What I do have is a Blackmagic Video Assist, which can record off the HDMI stream of the camera, which I run whenever I'm shooting, and that does not give me the greatest of backup. It's only 1080p 60 frames per second, but if I ever did have to use it, I could probably upscale it, interpolate it. Nobody that's watching on a phone on YouTube would know. So I have that backup available to me if I need it. I have never needed it, but I've got it. And in addition to that, the manufacturer provides a pretty robust recovery tool for any data that's been corrupted by sudden power loss or some kind of card write error. I've got pretty good options for recovering anything that's been lost. That's how I keep your data safe when I get hired to shoot.